so outrageous. They have to be addressed immediately. That's we push back immediately. I'll just jump to one thing. One of the French members of the legislature, I think it was, yesterday said, this is incredible, that the French would love to move the Statue of Liberty back to France because apparently it was a gift to America. And of course, on the Statue of Liberty, it says, give me you're hungry, you're tired, you're poor. And by the way, people who are supporting what Trump is doing, often they say, well, we did it legally. We came legally. Bullshit. Bullshit. A lot of people came in the 20s, Jews, Italians, Irish, and so forth, came through, they worked around the very, very restrictive immigration system. So I don't buy that shit at all. This policy is based on cruelty. There's no justification for it, for deporting thousands, hundreds of thousands, more than hundreds of thousands, and for doing things like grabbing a professor at Brown University the other day because she happened to attend a funeral in Lebanon, her home country, that happened to be somebody involved in Hezbollah. Does that make her dangerous? No. She's a professor at Brown, for Christ's sake. So we're doing, of course, there's going to be outrageous things done. When you give that much power to an entity, ICE, and you have no restrictions, no guardrails, they're going to be violent, they're going to be unfair, and they're going to inflict cruelty. The entire Trump administration, I guess the essence is inflicting cruelty with no apology, of course, and with no guardrails. Sure, the judges, well, they're saying that the judiciary doesn't count, that they'll just do things even if a federal judge rules against it in advance. But they're already having planes on the way, and they come up with legal bullshit. To defend a policy, an action, an attitude, and so forth that's completely outrageous. Let me just say one thing that's it's on topic, but it shows how irrational things get. So there was Trump has tried to eliminate something in the 14th Amendment. You cannot change an amendment to the Constitution through an executive order, but he was trying to change the idea of birthright, that somebody born in America of a American citizen, which we have currently, is an automatic citizen. He was trying to get rid of that. But here's another side to it. Somebody who's born outside the United States to an American citizen also has automatic citizenship, American citizenship. So it's not like they're saying, well, people come here, they throw themselves over the border and say, it's like, somebody trying to score a touchdown in the NFL, they stick the ball over the goal line or the end line. So the assumptions being made about immigration are absolutely false. Immigrants bring 1,000,001 things to our country. And you can say, well, many of them are legal or some are legal, but they have to get through an outrageous, complicated Rube Goldberg system. So not everybody can do that. So if you say that anybody undocumented should be deported because this tiny number have distributed fentanyl, and then it turns out, which we all knew, that way over the majority of fentanyl is through Americans. And also the exporting of guns is through us, okay? So one of them was you're talking about Canada. It turns out Canada on the fentanyl is 0.2% of the fentanyl supply comes through Canada. I could go into many things, but let's say they're all statistics, and that doesn't bring it home. I want to bring it home by talking about something, closer to me, which is that my cameraman here is from Colombia. He's got citizenship. He's not going to be deported. My ex-wife was born and grew up in Venezuela, but she's American because her parents were American. Okay, so you got automatic citizenship. And my daughter was born in Venezuela and gets automatic citizenship in the United States. Okay. So it goes in all kinds of ways. And restricting people from coming, how's that going to improve America? How's that going to improve America? You know, all over the world, the advanced countries, especially Japan, but also in Western Europe and here, are more aging population, more aging. The percentage of people over 65 has grown, and the percentage under 21 or 15 is shrinking or is less. And immigrants, of course, have larger families. All right, so if you're racist or hung up or insecure, that's threatening. That presents an issue on your identity. Okay, so let me say to those people, and I'm repeating something that Cliff Cash, the comedian, has said: have you gotten the fuck out of your little town? Have you traveled across America? Have you met immigrants? Or are you just stuck in some little town somewhere or whatever, in your bubble, in your silo, and have not reached out? Have you ever eaten at a Vietnamese restaurant or, I don't know, a Latino restaurant or whatever? There's so many, you know, Mexican restaurant. And have you ever talked to people? Have you ever met an immigrant? Whether they're, legal or whether they're undocumented. And you're not going to know. You're not going to know. The culture is the same. And by the way, Latin American immigrants, Hispanic immigrants, Latino immigrants are not a uniform thing. They're not a uniform thing. Just like, let's say, the Irish, the Italians, the French, the Germans, they're not identical, even though they're all from Western Europe. And a bunch of them are Caucasian, let's say. And the Latinos who come from different countries, completely different. Dominican Republic is a Caribbean Latino culture or Hispanic, totally different from Argentina, which is very European, but they both speak Spanish. So we got to get in step with the fact that immigration is happening all over the world. People from less developed countries are going to move north to the northern hemisphere. It's happening everywhere for opportunity. Well, one way to solve it is to help people in those countries, in the original countries that people come from. But no, we slashed and destroyed USAID, the most powerful, generous distribution of foreign aid from the United States. I say the word foreign aid, and you're going to jump at that, except that people think that it's a huge percentage of budget, and it's around 1%. So we have a society, we have, let's say, a government, an executive branch that's all into punitive oligarchy, discrimination, racism, anti-Semitism, anything you can do that takes people who are marginal, let's say, in this case, immigrants, and put them to be victims, taking them out of their some security and some, and the incredible, not fuck, the incredible thing they offer, the incredible offerings, the incredible stuff they give and bring to the United States. And we're going to say no. We're going to say no. And that is the essence of denial, the essence of a 1984 country from the dystopia in George Orwell's book, famous novel, that language has changed, language is turned upside down. They're doing that all the time. So even like the Gulf of Mexico gets changed by them to the Gulf of America, which is just a distortion of language. A distortion of language. It's just telling the big lie, which the Nazis did very effectively. So back to immigration and back to deportation. How could you take on a project like that and not have incredible amount of violence, incredible amount of oppression, incredible amount of unfairness? And, and the people who deported, the Venezuelans who were deported to El Salvador instead of back to Venezuela because we don't respect Venezuela. And Trump has a good relationship with the dictator oligarch of El Salvador. So there was no due process. People are entitled, even the criminal, they're entitled to due process. We don't even know the names of a bunch of them. We don't even know if some of them are legal. We're generalizing, we're sweeping people up, we're creating storm. And is it another diversion? Is it the same thing that Steve Bannon talked about? Is that what the reason is? Is there a rational reason for it? No. It's pure punitive hatred, emotion, and trying to change anything that Biden has done. We're in deep shit. We're in deep shit because first they come for the immigrants and then they come for some other group. We know that from the expression of that famous minister in Germany who knew that once they came for one group, they're going to the Jews and then other people. We don't want to make those mistakes. We're supposed to learn from history. We're supposed to have a democracy. God damn it, we're supposed to have a democracy. And that applies to everyone. And the Statue of Liberty welcomes people to it. We don't want to have to send it back to France. Not because we hate France, but we want to love America. And America welcomes immigrants, and it always has. Thank you.